Okay, we will begin the second webinar of today's E-Expo. First and foremost, thank you for joining the first ever City of Chicago BACP Small Business E-Expo. Our second webinar of today is going to be Financial Guidance for Small Businesses in a Changing World. It will be presented by Charnette Catherine of Fifth Third Bank and Rowan Richards of Accion, serving Illinois and Indiana. Before we begin, please note that if you are part of the Business START Certificate Program, you can get credit for joining this webinar by sending an email to bacpoutreach@cityofchicago.org. And I will be giving information throughout the introduction that can be referenced in the chat box. If you have any general questions, you could also send an email to bacpoutreach@cityofchicago.org. You can reference the agenda for today's expo by visiting smallbizexpo.com. And of course, assuming all goes well, we will be uploading the webinar sessions to youtube.com/ChicagoBACP. At the end of today's presentation, we will have a question and answer opportunity, so you will be able to ask questions related directly to the presentation topic. Please use the chat box to ask your questions and make sure you are asking the question to all panelists. So both of our panelists today and their organizations have been strong partners with the City of Chicago and offer a variety of financial resources for entrepreneurs. In addition, Fifth Third Bank has been an expo sponsor for over 3 years. They have supported our expos and, more importantly, want to support our business community. Like I mentioned, with us today is Charnette Catherine of Fifth Third Bank, who will provide a little bit more information about Fifth Third's commitment to entrepreneurs. Catherine, welcome.
Hi, good morning, everyone. My name is Charnette Catherine Keith, and I am the Assistant Vice President of Retail Banking at Fifth Third Bank in Chicago. My office is located in Hyde Park at 1420 East 53rd Street. So today, you all will hear from Rowan Richards. He is the Director of Coaching and Connections at Accion. Accion is one of the largest microlending organizations in the country, and Fifth Third Bank partners with Accion to provide education and additional access to capital options to those customers that may not yet fit into our lending criteria. What this does is gives us an opportunity to provide the client with a yes when they are seeking additional options for business capital. So I've been working with Accion for quite a few years, and my experience has really been great. My partner and I, we refer clients to them for lending opportunities while helping them build business banking relationships all the way around. So at Fifth Third Bank, we can help you with things such as your deposit accounts, your payroll, your merchant processing, treasury management services, just to name a few. And what that does is help you to build a solid relationship with the bank while you're simultaneously building your capital through Accion. Just to let you know, we have a small business community lender, Carl Riley, who works very closely with the community. And he has been recognized as one of our top performers through Accion and Fifth Third Bank. So what this means is that Carl is out in the community, as well as some of our other colleagues and employees. He's out there working, pounding the pavement, getting to know what you guys need, and making sure that we help you get to a yes and possibly change your lives for the better. How awesome is that? So Accion, City of Chicago, thank you. Thank you so much for your partnership and for creating a platform to provide this information and resources to our small business communities. And with that, I will turn it over to Rowan of Accion.
Charnette, thank you so much for that great introduction. And of course, thank you for the ongoing partnership, relationship that makes it possible to help our business community find the resources they need. We are grateful at Accion to be able to be part of this conversation. And for years, we've been speaking about access to capital. Of course, over these last few months, we've had a little bit of a twist, amplified need, as we're speaking about access to capital as it fits into this idea of recovering from the pandemic. And that's ongoing work that we have. So For today, I look forward to sharing as much as I can and answering questions that you may have with regards to capital options and then the type of coaching that we're doing for our business owners during this period to both recover, but also to prepare for the future opportunities as well. So for today, just for those who don't know and haven't heard yet on this call, our mission has been focused on serving community entrepreneurs. We are physically located on the west side of Chicago, right at Lake and Kedzie. We serve the whole city of Chicago. We serve a large part of Indiana as well. We do have a big focus on south and west side communities in Chicago across a variety of industries. So we look forward to continuing our work of achieving our mission, and a lot of that happens through partnerships and opportunities like what we're working on this morning. For today, I want to focus on capital options and then also just thinking about, from a coaching standpoint, things that business owners should continually evaluate about their own companies. And I know this is work that's been going on for months with many of our own existing clients, but also with business owners that we're meeting in different spaces where we're looking at what's the strength of the business, where are the challenges and gaps, and then what are the opportunities. So that ongoing assessment of the business from a revenue, expense, asset, and liability standpoint is really important. So again, we'll look at capital from federal, state, county, city, and then what we at Accion are able to offer. So I'll start, just kind of go a brief overview of what is offered and what has been offered over these last few months under each of those categories that I mentioned. Many of these you will be aware of. There may be some of the programs that you're less aware of. And again, happy to answer more questions at the end. Let me just start by saying, we've put, within parentheses here, we're mentioning what's open, what's not open, what's been reopened. We've listed everything because I want you to think of these programs as the tools that have been made available in past months, but also specifically in these last 3 to 4 months as opportunities to provide capital to business owners in the form of a loan or a grant. So even if something has closed, there is a chance that certain things will reopen because the programs have been stood up, the infrastructure's there, the understanding of how to distribute capital and how to collect data is already in place. So as different entities at the federal, state, county, local, as we assess the need, as leaders assess the need, they could and will often reopen programs if the demand is there. So at the federal level, the 2 main programs have been the Paycheck Protection Program that we've heard about at the national level in the news. That was something that was obviously stood up recently at the start of the pandemic as a new program. But along with that was also the SBA EIDL, Economic Injury Disaster Loans, which have been in existence and have been used in different situations, but that have been obviously very important to different communities all over the country during times of disaster. And now we've seen it used in the sense of in a pandemic situation as well. At the state level, we started everything with the Hospitality Emergency Grant Program. We looked at hospitality of a certain size and we were looking at food and beverage companies as well. That was the earliest of the grants, and we've had a chance to reach business owners that were well beyond our traditional footprint throughout the state of Illinois. Also, same with what we call the ISABEL, the Illinois Small Business Emergency Loan Fund, one of the bigger programs that we at Accion have ever been part of, providing low interest rate loans to business owners. The Business Interruption Grant Program, which has recently closed to new applicants, is something that we feel confident could be used again should the demand be there. And similar with what's offered at the county and at the city levels as well. I do want to mention that one of the other things outside of the grant and loan programs, one of the other things that we did right away was make available loan reduction opportunities. And we saw a lot of banking partners throughout the state do the same thing, where anyone who had an existing loan, they look to reduce the payments or do some sort of forgiveness on the payments to make sure that business owners had the ability to maintain their cash position for as long as possible, as a lot of this was getting sorted out. So it was something that was great to see across the lending community, that people were responding in a way that was really thinking about the business owner first to make sure that they could stay viable with so much uncertainty in front of us. All right, so I will, just go through some of the high-level details for the different programs for those who are not familiar, or just as a great reminder. Again, the SBA Paycheck Protection Program, also known as PPP, was intended for businesses that had less than 500 employees on location. The idea was that there would be provided capital that was equivalent to 2.5 times a monthly payroll of the previous year, up to the $10 million. This, again, a loan at 1% that had the great ability to be forgiven. There was a significant forgiveness portion that was built into it. I think that's what made a lot of this so attractive to business owners, was the ability that this looks a lot like a grant, which is unusual. Obviously, the reason being the unprecedented closure of the economy, where something like this would be necessary. But again, was a tool that was created with the idea of making sure people could get back to work and keep the expense at a minimum to the business owner. And there will be plenty of time at the end. We can talk through more of the details on any of these programs. So EIDL, again, SBA program has been in existence for quite a while. A bit different. This is more of a traditional term loan, where you can get a maximum of $2 million at a rate of 3.75, which again, really low interest rate, attractive capital, and that could be termed up to 30 years, keeping the payments extremely low. For this, there were some different criteria, including collateral, but again, flexible to some degree compared to some of the other loans that were in existence. And this is the opportunity for organizations like the SBA to step in and help back these loans to a wide number of business owners. Again, here's an example where even when programs start to wind down, you'll see an opportunity where these will reopen. SBA's EIDL was a great example of one that did wind down, has been reopened, and will continue to be in existence, I imagine, for quite a while. The Business Interruption Grant Program, like other grants, we're excited at Accion and through I'm sure our partners are the same way, and the city and the state. Anytime we can offer grant dollars to a business owner, we're excited about that opportunity. We realize that any early stage business, and even businesses that have been in existence for a little bit longer, the opportunity to find capital that is in the form of a grant is wonderful. They're not easy to find. This is an opportunity for different entities and different lenders to get together and make some of these programs highly visible. And I think that was one of the roles that we've continued to play, where we've been able to identify and work with partners to pull capital and make them visible to a wide number of business owners that often aren't quite certain on how to find, identify, and see if they actually are a good fit for any sort of grant capital. So, we're excited that these grant programs have been in existence. We're hopeful that some of these programs will continue so that we can get more capital in the hands of businesses. We know that even though we've reached many, that there's still additional need. And in any way that we can continue to participate and deploy capital in the form of grants or loans is what our focus is. The Together Now Fund, eligible for businesses within the city of Chicago. This is very timely. We were coming on the heels of where a lot of people were just really focused. A lot of institutions were focused on PPP. Most banks and lending organizations had moved away from the traditional loans, and there was a lot of focus on getting PPP and Chicago Resiliency and the Illinois, the Isabel program up and running. And we were hearing from a lot of businesses that didn't quite fit into those categories that they were still in need of capital, right? They were either too early, it didn't fit with the PPP program very well. So this was a great response to see if dollars could still be placed in the hands of business owners in the form of grants in two categories, either the $4,000 range or the $10,000 range. So one of the programs that we opened pre-COVID, so towards the end of 2019, say fourth quarter 2019, along with some partners in the city of Chicago, we were in discussions and working towards opening up something other than our traditional term loans, which is what we've been come to known for, where we do traditional term loans. A lot of our business types were asking for something different, and what we landed on was a line of credit, which is helpful for certain business types that just have some immediate cash flow gaps that they need to cover, and the line of credit became a really great option. We did open up in 2020 with this opportunity, and we had a lot of positive feedback on businesses that were able to apply and secure a line of credit with us. We have not yet reopened it, but we are planning to. We're taking measures right now, even as we continue to participate in some of the emergency funding programs. Some of what are winding down, others are continuing for a certain period of time. Well, we are now looking at how do we get back to doing some of our traditional loans with existing borrowers, with new businesses that are looking to launch or had just recently launched. And when that happens, we'll be looking at both our traditional term loans, but also using our expedited line of credit program to help businesses actually access the type of capital that they need that's the best fit possible. Okay, so did a quick run through of the different programs that we've been part of and that still exist and potentially could reopen for even the ones that are closed. But want to also have an opportunity to talk through, some of the key recovery questions that we feel, each small business needs to evaluate. And we're beginning our work as an organization to really start working with current customers on recovery planning. And part of our discussions will be to cover the topics that I have listed here. So when you're thinking about revenue, we want to make sure that we're having businesses now move from just the thoughts of capital that was really important at the beginning of the pandemic, right? It was like focus on finding the capital that you need. Quickly thereafter, we were having conversations around, okay, we need to really start thinking about internally, even as some of your revenue has been shut off, what can you do as an organization to shore up your operations? What sort of things can you do strategically to prepare for when the marketplace does begin to loosen up? And what will look different? And obviously, one of the keys to all this for any business to be successful is going to be the revenue. So one of the questions we like to ask is, who's going to be your primary customer in this new environment? Who are you looking towards? Is it going to be your same customer? Is that customer looking at how do they receive the product or service differently? Or are you going to start looking at new channels? Has a new market, a new customer popped up in this marketplace for you? Again, what strategies will you use to acquire and retain existing or new customers? It's really important. And we know a lot of this work has been done, and there's more that needs to be done as the market begins to tell us what it's going to look like at quarter 3, quarter 4, and even looking ahead into the first quarter of 2021. It's going to be really important. And then how much do you estimate you'll earn in Q3 and Q4 is a really important question for any business owner. Doing that forward thinking, that projection of what the rest of this year could look like based on historical information and what's been in place already is the third quarter starts. It's important to have that sense so that you can calculate what is my cash flow runway. In other words, how much capital based on what I was able to save through my business practices from 2019 to the beginning of 2020. plus the capital that I was able to raise through the emergency funding programs. And now, from what I'm projecting I'll be able to do for the rest of the year through sales, what does that look like? What does my total cash flow picture look like? And how much time does that give me if I should change nothing else with the business? So having a sense of where you are and where you believe you will be for this last part of the year, Q3 and Q4, is really important. Also, from an expense side, similar questions are critical. Who will be your main suppliers in this new environment? We need to think of, okay, maybe I had a relationship with a supplier. Are they still doing business? If they are, then what does their pricing structure look like? Or I may have to find new suppliers that now have the ability to provide what I need and may need new items this year. So just having a sense of who you're going to work with and what they're looking to do and what they're needing to do as is really important. Having those conversations are really important. Being able to negotiate based on some levels of commitment to work with a supplier is really important. It could help for any business owner improve their expenses by negotiating and building relationships and partnerships. Really important. Of course, a major question will be around staff costs. There have been changes. There will be more changes, and we can all assume that. So whether it is you've had to let staff members go and you're not going to rehire them, or you have them back now, you've received the PPP, then what? What are you going to need to do after that? Or perhaps you've had to hire different types of talent to your team because your business model has changed. So really having a sense of what you need to be able to continue your business is important, and what are the financial implications of those staff changes. There are obviously many more questions that we can go through, but one that I definitely want to make sure we talk about, and if you haven't had a chance yet to speak with the building manager or the landlord, whomever it may be, that you're renting space from, for those who are renting space, please have those conversations, right? To whatever degree that you can work amicably with the owner of the business, of the building, the manager of the building, the better off it's going to be for everyone. Try to come to a negotiation on pricing and even terms of an existing lease. That's going to put both you and the owner of the building in the best position possible. Both are business owners. So obviously your primary focus needs to be on your business, but also understand that there's a relationship there that would be really beneficial if you can continue to find a way to work together. But first and foremost, identify what your specific needs are, be confident in making the ask, and definitely, first and foremost, have the conversation. We may find out that we're both thinking along the same lines. I want to now talk just about, I alluded to some of this around assets. Again, tying in that idea of revenue and capital you're able to secure to just operating cash that you have on hand. It's really important. It's always important for a business owner. Depending on industry, there's some businesses that, generally have no more than 2 weeks of cash on hand. Some it's longer. It really depends on the type of business. But it's as important as it is through normal times. Right now, it's even more critical. Giving yourself as much cash runway is going to be important. Borrowing is challenging at the moment. Revenue is challenging at the moment for most industries. So being able to shore up cash, maintain your cash position is going to be really important for the longevity of your business. And, that's regardless of industry, that absolutely is important. And then thinking about what do you have, even from an asset standpoint, that could help you during these current times. And I'll look at it a couple of ways. If I'm in a business that has specific assets that maybe are being underutilized right now, what could you do? Obviously, staying within all regulations, making sure that you're running your business properly according to the law. What could you do with your assets? Is there an opportunity to lease some of your assets to other businesses? Is this a good opportunity to sell some of your assets that are being underutilized? These are questions that you should ask. But also, for those, take a look at your balance sheet And are there assets that would put you in better position to access capital that could be used for collateral? And those are conversations to have with the lender if and when you come to that time, to see what would be accepted, to see what the value of those items are, and if it makes sense to use your assets in that way. When it comes to liabilities, thinking just what do you have in outstanding debt? What is your schedule for paying back debt? Have you had conversations already with individuals, institutions, any of your vendors, whoever it may be, where you do have credit? And in what way will you maintain those relationships, making payments in a way that will help you keep a strong credit history? It's going to be really important now, but it's most certainly going to be extremely important as you go forward. When the days come when you're going to look for new opportunities, you want to make sure that you are able to maintain clean and strong credit so that you don't miss out on any opportunities going forward. And really important just to think through, even as we're borrowing from these different programs, what does that overall debt picture look like? You know, making sure that we're still maintaining a good ratio, the amount of debt that we have compared to the income that's coming in, so that we don't put ourselves in a difficult situation, and that we're able to maintain a strong business, make our payments, keep our credit in the best position possible, and just be in a really healthy place now and even in the future as we continue to work towards a marketplace that looks a lot more like what we were used to when we were back in 2019. So that's all that I had planned for today as far as we're going to cover around capital and some of the coaching questions that we're asking clients. A couple things, feel free to follow the different conversations we're having online. You can see our Facebook, our LinkedIn handles here. We have our help desk email as well if you have questions that you need to submit. If you want to get in contact with our team, anytime we have a new initiative, we post it. You'll see it on Facebook. You also see it on our website under the Accion.org news/emergency capital. Any new program or even existing programs that we believe could reopen will be posted there with the description and also with the opportunity to apply directly through the link. So we've been doing that since the end of March, and we will continue to do that until as long as we believe that it's still helpful. And then lastly, if you wanted to schedule a coaching session with myself or another member of the coaching team, the Calendly link that you see will give you direct access to my calendar, and I am always happy to set up a conversation and help do an assessment and identify the different ways that we may be helpful. So I thank you for the time this morning, and I hope that this was helpful.
Thank you so much, Rowan, for joining us today for the City of Chicago's first ever E-Expo. We did have a good amount of questions come through, so I will read them to you, and if you or Sharnette are available to answer them, let's do it. First question, if you are a startup and sole proprietor now, do these financial options apply? And if not, what are some other options?
Yes, I'll start with that. And this is fresh in my mind because we had this conversation during our staff meeting this morning. And when I mentioned that we are working to get back to some of our traditional loans in Q3, it's you, the sole proprietor, you, the startup, that we have in mind. Understand that there are businesses that were getting ready to launch on March 15th or did launch in March, April, or looking to do so right now. And we are working really hard to get back to the point where we can provide capital for individuals who are in that situation that don't fit into the buckets that I described through most of those emergency programs. So for your business type, it would be our term loan and our expedited lines of credit that would be the best fit. At the moment, neither of those are available, but we are working rapidly to get back to the point where we can offer that. So I'm speaking solely for the work that we're doing at Accion.
Next question, you mentioned the PPP funds to be spent on 75% employee compensation within 8 weeks. Hasn't that now been changed to 24 weeks?
Yes, and I think that information was in the slide. I'm not sure if I mentioned that, but yes, there's the option to do both. It was extended, and I think it was a great decision to extend that option to 24 weeks. With actually the minimum that you would need to spend is 60% towards payroll. Your forgiveness would be reduced, of course. If you can do the 25% towards payroll and 25% towards other expenses, then you can max out the forgiveness of that program. But yes, you are absolutely correct. It has been extended to 24 weeks of coverage, and which ends at the end of the year. So you would have to that does not go beyond the end of December 31st, 2020. So you would have to have already have received that loan in order to max it out, but you could go up to the end of December, which would end up being whatever 20-something weeks. So people who want to, who received a PPP, let's say even up through June, who only want to follow the 8 weeks original structure, that is possible, but the 24-week option was opened up.
Next question is, are any of these programs available for newly started businesses?
These programs really are for, as you've mentioned, the ones that I've mentioned here are for existing businesses. There are a few programs that are listed on our website. If you go to the Accion Emergency Capital page, that are offered through private opportunities. Different companies have put out their own grants, and we've highlighted them. So I highly encourage everyone who's on this call, take a look at our Accion page for emergency capital, and you'll see listed on there a few options that are open, regardless if you are a startup or if you are an existing business. The ones that I went through today are the programs that we are directly involved in, and those were created for existing businesses.
The SBA Idle Loan, 1 second, disappearing. Okay, the SBA Idle Grant under $10,000 is no longer available. Is that the new update?
That's the last that I've heard. That is correct. That is no longer available. It is possible that it would reopen. I can't speak to that. That's decisions that come through SBA. But at the moment, last that we heard, that it is no longer available.
Next question, have you heard of any loans or grants for business owners who are opening up a new business at the start of COVID? For example, there was an article in the Tribune about a couple who renovated a theater and didn't manage to open the business because of COVID.
Yeah, it's a great question, and we are not working on we're not offering any loans at the moment that are for businesses that were just starting pre-COVID. That is our goal, is to get back to that point. Now, that doesn't mean that there are not options. I do not want to share that there are not options through other lending organizations or through traditional banks. I think there could be some options for those businesses as well. I'm happy to pass to one of our other speakers to see if maybe there's other information. But as of now, we at Accion are not yet there. We are definitely working to get there as quickly as possible.
Can you spend the entire PPP amount for payroll, or does it have to be distributed between payroll and utilities/rent?
You can spend it entirely on payroll. You can. The ratio of 75% was meant to provide some flexible working capital for those other expenses, but you can.
Are any programs for existing businesses that have working capital issues and have not been profitable over the last couple of years?
So I just want to make sure I understand the question. Okay, so yeah, the majority of the programs, I think we'll see that they were tied to, they were either tied to payroll or to revenue or profitability from previous years. So, even a business, if you're a PPP, unless you're a sole proprietor or you were an independent contractor, the PPP was not tied to profitability. It was tied entirely to your payroll expense. So that is probably the best fit as long as you're an existing business. That was the best fit for anyone who did not have, let's say, high profitability in the previous year.
And we do have a couple of questions coming in. If this webinar session will be available later, it will be, if all goes well. Obviously, we are hoping to upload it to our YouTube channel, and that is found at youtube.com/Chicago BACP. Next question is, I have started a new business and I am financing it all myself. Because I am new and I do not have consistent quarterly info for lenders to access, what financing options are there out there for me, if any?
From the Fifth Third Bank standpoint, we would need you to be in business at least 2 years. The most that we can do at that point would be maybe like a business credit card to start you off with financing. In those situations, that is when the bank would refer you over to Accion to see if there was something that would fit into their lending model.
Question came in. This person has 2 businesses, so this is a 2-part question. First question is, as an online bookstore, I am really the only employee. However, I still need capital to replenish inventory, hire illustrators, develop marketing strategies, and other business expenditures. How can you help me?
And you are a startup? Did it say they were a startup?
She did not specify if she's a startup or existing, but it seems like the person mentioned that they need capital, starting with replenishing inventory.
Well, we do lines of credit. So Fifth Third Bank do offer lines of credit. We have a fast access capital line of credit that we offer, but the business does have to be in existence for 2 years. We would look at 2 years of financials to see if they qualify, but it would be a quick issue type of line, and it would go up to $100,000. So if she is in business for at least 2 years, then we can look at that for a line of credit to help her with working capital, which may even include, buying inventory if it's short term. We also have other term loan options available.
And she did chime in saying that she is an existing business, so.
Okay, good.
And second part is the person also has a not-for-profit that they're attempting to get off the ground for autistic children. How can Accion help me get the capital I need to obtain a space to start to build a play facility for autistic children?
Well, first, obviously, I love the work that you're doing. So thank you for the great work. I would say, one of the other things that we work hard to do is develop partnerships, right? So even if there's not a specific loan or grant program for the type of business that you're doing, we also are always happy to make introductions and help develop relationships with partners that we believe would have a strong interest in the type of work that you're doing. So that may be through a corporation or through a foundation that we've worked with, and helping you bridge that relationship so that you can identify what that partnership could look like. Also, relationships on the other side for on the facility side. We do sit in a position where we work with so many business owners across a wide range of industry that we do get a chance to build some great relationships already with either service providers, opportunity and capital providers, or other people within different industries that could be helpful. So for me, I would like to learn more about your business. So please take the opportunity to schedule an appointment with me. You can learn more about what you're doing and exactly what the needs are. And if there's a fit, happy to bridge that gap in between us and perhaps a third-party partner.
Great, thank you. And for those that are joining us via phone, I do want to say the email address for Accion is help@accionchicago.org. So please send an email to that email account to start scheduling an appointment with Accion. Sharnette, would you like to share email or contact phone number?
If you have any questions in regards to your small business need, you can contact us at the Banking Center. The phone number here in the Hyde Park location is 773-256-3400. You can also stop by at any time. You can visit the website www.53.com. That will have a list of the different products and services that we offer for small businesses. And then if you have any questions that you want to direct to me, I'm happy to give you my email that you can just shoot me an email with a question. Sharnette, SHARNETTE KATHERINE @53.com.
Great, thank you. Rowan, I believe you already slightly touched on this, but it seems to be a reoccurring question. So if you are a startup and sole proprietor now, do these same financial options apply? And if not, what resources should I be looking at?
Yeah, so for sole proprietors, definitely PPP and a wide range of the other programs do as well. I want to touch on PPP for a second, which obviously it's been extended. It's open for a small window, but it still is available if you haven't done so. What's interesting with the sole props is that you actually can use the money similar ratio, but you can use it for your own income replacement. So it's quite flexible. It does provide an interesting opportunity for businesses that do not have payroll other than themselves. So definitely something to consider. And let's make sure I have the second part for startups. This is being completely transparent. This is a difficult time to access capital, and it is true across the board. It's not impossible, and it doesn't mean that things won't improve or become a little bit more flexible if you are starting a business today. So this is not meant to discourage anyone. I'd say continue to pursue what you're pursuing, build those relationships, because like anything else, if you're looking to borrow money, any sort of business relationship that you're looking to develop, it takes time. So get started right now. Build a relationship with your banker, with a lending organization. Let them get to know you, which is definitely part of the overall underwriting process. And make sure your business is in great shape. Do all the things you can do now. Even if securing a loan is not possible, you still need to present a strong, viable business who has solid bookkeeping systems. Make sure you have all your licenses and certifications in place. Have a really good description of who your customer is. If you can, even if you're self-funding at the moment, get to begin selling. Show that you can generate revenue and that your expenses are low enough where you can be profitable. So do the things that you can do as a business owner until the capital markets begin to loosen. But definitely take the step. If you feel now is the right time, take the step to reach out and build a relationship with a lending organization.
Great. We have time for only a couple more questions. And once again, if your questions did not get answered, you could reach Accion at help@accionchicago.org. And Sharnette, if you don't mind, can you please share your email address again, and I will type it into the chat so people can reference it there.
Okay, it's Sharnette, SHARNETTE KATHERINE @53.com.
And 53 is spelled out?
No, the number's 53.
Okay, perfect. All right, so our last couple of questions. What tools might be accessible to me for my e-commerce business?
So if you're looking to do e-commerce, we have merchant processing services that may work for you. Looking for tools, are you looking for tools? Let us know if you're looking for tools in terms of ways to have access to capital for purchasing merchandise, or are you looking for tools that help you collect from your customers? It would depend, but we do have an array of different services that will help you make help you streamline on collections, on purchasing, we can help you with a bunch of things. So it depends on what subject you're looking for, what topic you're trying to improve on.
Okay, great. And final question for today is, might there be funds assistance for a commercial real estate purchase, assuming the principal investor has half the funds to acquire it? Is there a possibility? If so, what are the requirements?
Can you say that question one more time?
Might there be funds of assistance for a commercial real estate purchase, assuming the principal investor has half the funds to acquire it? Is there a possibility? If so, what are the requirements? So we're talking about commercial real estate purchases.
So at Fifth Third, we do commercial real estate purchases. We do require you to be owner-occupied. At least 51%, I believe, of the building is owner-occupied. So if you are doing something like a strip mall, are you holding your offices in one of those suites? Is that holding space? Are you holding space there? If you are doing a mixed-use property, are your offices in the building? We do require you to be owner-occupied. 2 years in the business is also a requirement. And then we do look at personal credit score from the Fifth Third end. On the Accion side, I'm not sure if there are any criteria, but maybe he can speak.
Yeah, commercial real estate acquisition is not something that we actually lend towards.
Okay, so I want to thank both Accion, a partner of ours for many years, and of course the Fifth Third being a sponsor of our in-person expos and our first ever E-Expo. Thank you again, both of you, for joining us. The Q&A session was obviously very helpful. If your question did not get answered, once again, please reach out to Accion and Fifth Third. I put Charnette Catherine's email in the chat, so please reference the chat box per email. Upcoming next, we will have a lunchtime chat with our keynote speaker, Chef Cliff Rome. It begins at 12:40, so please either stay on the line or join us at 12:40. And we also have a packed schedule for this afternoon, so after lunch, please hang out with us. We have a webinar about digital marketing. We have resources available to small businesses, and then we will wrap up with an opportunity to ask questions to BACP staff about licensing, inspections, liquor, basically City Hall at your fingertips right in front of you. So please join us this afternoon and beginning at 12:40 with our keynote speaker, once again, Chef Cliff Ramone. Thank you again, Accion and Fifth Third, and everyone hang tight. Thank you.